Hey Capricorns, how y'all doing? Welcome. We're going to be doing your April general reading here. So I'm going to get right into your meditation, but of course, listen, I want to say to you, antebellum age. Okay, I was taken to Scarlett O'Hara versus via Gone with the Wind. Okay, and I saw the words evolution equals progression. I know that sounds a bit like, yeah, okay, a little synonymous, but it's evolution equals progression. I was taken from you guys as, embodied as Scarlett O'Hara in this like dying South, American South sort of context, right? And then it was like you guys were being, shifted into some like space age, ultra futuristic, ultra modern circumstance. And it was kind of funny. I saw Scarlett O'Hara, you guys obviously being represented as the collective by Scarlett O'Hara, and in this like very futuristic Star Trek-esque space suit, and going, oh my God, it's so sleek. It keeps me warm and cool at the same time. I can't believe that I was so attached to all those petticoats, to, oh my God, all that way of thinking and being and living, right? I was harvesting crops manually, and now all I have to do on the spaceship is press a button and I have exactly what I want. There is an aspect, either within or around you, and I do feel for like many of you that this is going to be something external, where you are being, I want to say invited, but I don't feel like the invitation is something that is forever. And what I mean by that is move or be moved. So it's an opportunity and an invitation to go with this energy, but any resistance towards the new, right? Because we definitely as humans resist change. We're very good at that, right? But any resistance around doing something a different way, looking at something a different way, seeing yourself a different way, or operating from, a place that may be foreign to you in some way, shape, or form, is going to be met with, sort of feeling stagnant, right? So what do I mean? Continuing to do things the way that you've always done them is going to start to feel like it is expired, right? Like it wants to go. And sometimes how this will often happen is when there's an energy such as this, is you'll start noticing the people around you changing it up, right? Your sister cuts off her very long hair and it's like, it's a short pixie cut and you're like, oh my God, it's so perfect, your animal energy. And it's like, oh, right, that's big, you look fabulous, but that is big change. And then your mom says, hey, I'm retiring and I'm moving to Florida. And you're like, right, big change, right? So sometimes we'll observe it in our external given circumstances, and then we start to feel it within ourselves. We're like, oh man, I feel like what I've been doing is is it necessarily working in the same way that it was? The routine that I had going is no longer serving me. I'm not deriving the same satisfaction from it that I was. My work feels different. I feel like I want to do something different, change up the format, change up my routine, change up something, right? That is in the air within for you. And so this is going to be all about how you approach it. You are being asked to embrace the opportunity for change, okay? And what's really interesting is that you've got the vulture, and it's so perfect because the vulture equates to the 10 of swords, which is a complete ending to something so that something new can begin. So this speaks of the ending of a cycle. What were we just talking about? Right? Change. Miss Scarlett going from the plantation, plantation to, the ultra modern spaceship, where it doesn't feel like an upgrade in the moment, but then you're like, wait a minute, this is so much better, right? And I do feel, again, like there's an aspect of move or be moved, but the vulture says, let whatever wants to end, right? Let whatever wants to end. Feels important. It also feels a bit, symbolic, but a bit monumental as well. It feels rather significant, I have to tell you. It feels significant. Wow. Eight of Swords, I'm seeing some parallels here, my darling Capricorns. So, Eight of Swords, traditionally speaking, this is analysis paralysis. This is restricted sight and vision, right? This mole here, right, has adapted to its dark underworld home, right? And so it doesn't rely on its vision to see. There's an element of trust that you're being asked to engage in, right? And again, resisting change at any given point is going to only delay the inevitable. And I say that to you with love. That's what I'm feeling though. It's only going to delay the inevitable. I feel like there is a higher aspect of you that's like, this is in terms of like your soul progress, some aspect of you is like, yeah, it's time for change. And here's the thing. Change may not always be welcome, but it is something that, again, like I said, is inevitable. And sometimes how it goes and what we get out of it is directly proportionate to our attitude going into it. Okay? But Eight of Swords is something that we can shift if only we set the intention to. It's actually, I don't want to say it's easy and oversimplify it because I'm an air sign. So if anyone understands this way of life, I do, with this analysis paralysis, right? But you know, I give it the Vulture and the Ten of Swords, and then you have the Eight of Swords coming up here. You know, I feel like this is another way of saying, sometimes if your mind is not working for you, right, if it's not leading you to a place that feels good, right, perhaps it's best to just trust your nose. And what does that mean? Trust your feelings around things, right? You could be feeling that you want to move, you know, to make a shift around a certain routine or a partnership or whatever have you, and your head says, oh God, that is not a good idea. Oh God, this is going to upset them if I tell them that I want to start doing this instead of that, or whatever. When your head gets involved, it can negate the intuitive feelings that you have that are usually right on target. Okay? So if your head is leading you to thoughts that do not feel good, release them to the wind, honey. High Priestess. Okay, Capricorn. High Priestess, you know, beautiful spider energy here. This is about, you know, connecting into that. And this is just really similar to what I just said. Connecting in with your intuition from, not just from a place of like, I'm connecting in for answers, but I'm connecting in from a place of curiosity, open-mindedness, where I'm absolutely listening. You are being asked to listen, 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 listen. Listen. Okay? I'm also getting a sense, because spiders also speak to me of ancestry and family and elders as well. I do feel like there are, you know, people or resources around you. Remember when I said you might be observing in your external given circumstances change going on, or other people sort of, you may be thinking about something and then someone else says something that you were thinking about. That I don't believe in coincidences. That is spirit, the universe, your higher self orchestrating this so that it comes and you're able to hear it at the exact time that you need to, right? So there is help and guidance and aid at hand, right? And this could come through a lot of different ventures. This could even be like a podcast that you hear, a book that you keep getting recommended, or, you know, a friend that you suddenly have this urge to call that maybe you haven't even spoken to in a while. Follow those leads. Follow those leads, okay? You know, spider energy also represents writers as well, and that's actually a really good point of advice, and I do say it often enough. That one, I will tell you on a personal note briefly. I will tell you the best way that I have found to move out of this Eight of Swords is through writing, through journaling, getting it all down. Okay. Listen, different strokes, different folks, but I'm putting that out there in case it might work for you, okay? Also, last note about spider energy, it's also about being there for yourself and others in equal measure as well, okay? A lot of dark here, and I don't mean dark as in negative, I mean dark as in moon and night skies. Wow. All right, Capricorn. I'm here, babies. So we got five of Swords here, bit intense. Listen, here's what it is. Five of Swords, traditionally speaking, is people acting outside of their own integrity in some way, shape, or form. Now, there is an aspect of self-sabotage to this that usually I equate more with the Seven of Swords, but it is coming up for me around this in particular, but I want to point something out. 5 is the number of change. I feel like this is remarking on your resistance to possible change, or clinging on to something that has run its purpose, right? That's what this feels like. This could be something as simple, and I say simple with like air quotes around it. This could be something as simple as, your daily habits in terms of, how you treat or move your body. It's something. It's like you are being asked to do something differently so that you can enjoy life and reach your full potential in a way that is not possible with your current routine or perspective or group of friends or reality or something about your circumstance is keeping you from this upgrade or disallowing it or delaying it. And this is how to move within that and go, wait a minute, okay, I'm not going to resist change to the point that I'm going to miss out on that upgrade, right? Yeah. Ooh, no! Just spread the cards all over the table and get situated. Here we go. Another aspect of vulture energy as well, some clarifiers here. For vulture energy as well is that it's also about making the most of the situation, right? And like using all of the resources at your disposal. So there is something about clicking in to your resources as well, which I definitely want to mention. Oh, this is so okay. Look at this. Look at how opposite these two are. I just saw 11-11. Look at this counterpoint realness. Here we have a dark and gloomy sky with the mole action here with the Eight of Swords, analysis paralysis, and then we have a bright sunny garden where it's like nary a storm cloud in sight. The garden is very much about, it's about a lot of things, but it's about happy family. It's about children coming into the picture, children being an active part of your reality, your relationship with your parents, your ancestry, but also realizing that, everything that you could possibly need in terms of good emotional feeling is right at your fingertips, if only you see it. Do you see how this little girl's looking at this butterfly with the magnifying glass there? Guess what butterflies represent? Change. Change. Oh, 5 of roses. How did I almost miss that? Another 5. Another 5. Interesting. Number of change, transition. This butterfly energy here, the butterfly is... it's an uncomfortable reality that the butterfly has to go through, right? It's got all these cycles. It's the egg, then it's the caterpillar, then it goes into the chrysalis where it absolutely turns to goo, right? Before it can reform and then fly out. And then it has a very short lifespan, but it's so beautiful. Everybody recognizes the beauty and appreciates the butterfly for what it is. And we don't really give too much thought to all of the 3 of Swords action it took for that butterfly to get to that place, right? And I'm seeing a parallel here too with the, I almost called this the muse, interestingly enough. With the mole coming up here as well, right? Kind of coming out of their own sort of imposed dark space, right? Coming out for a breath of air. I feel like you're being called to really look at things from a different perspective, right? And know that you have a lot more tools at your disposal than may be readily apparent. But there's also an aspect here as well where your attention wants to be drawn to something that perhaps you are overlooking. Because see the sight and the sight here? I'm going to keep it real with you, and I say this from a place of love, because roses also have these thorns. I feel like there is something that you may be overlooking or failing to notice or incorporate because you might be looking at it through rose-colored glasses, okay? Now this could be which means that you are seeing as something more rosy or more beneficial or positive than it actually is. You're not taking a realistic view of it, okay? I feel like for some of you guys, this has everything to do about you and how you live your life and your cycles and your patterns and your routine and all of that stuff, your self-care, whatever that is for you. And I feel like for others, this has to do with your external environment, okay? You're being asked to put an end to wants to end, that, whatever wants to end, okay? High Priestess. Ooh. The light of the world. I absolutely love this energy. So this is your guides, don't you know? And this is here, you by the fire, looking at the cat here. And you're over here, this is your guides knocking at the door and you're like, I don't hear anything. What's going on with the cat? The energy of this key is, You know, this is your divine guidance, inspiration, and directives moving forward. This is the resources being at your disposal, and you not necessarily being in a place to receive it or hear it because, you know, you're either not making time for it or you're not opening your ears to hear the knock on the door. Didn't we say opening your ears? And then we have High Priestess here, which talks about clicking into that intuition from a place of curiosity and receptivity. And then the light of the world. The light, nighttime with the moon. Open your eyes. Open your ears. You know, this is easy to say, but it's like, what do you mean by this? How am I supposed to be open to this, you know, like very like, you know, flu idea of, foo-foo idea of, you know, oh, be open to guidance and receptivity. This is another way of saying like sitting in counsel with yourself. Because I also want to point something out. I'm really drawn to the fact, you know, that this cat has 9 lives as well. And this is the number 10 key. We're talking about things that want to be released or acknowledged as expired as well. Saying, so how am I supposed to, right, what am I not seeing? Or I feel that this is on, but I don't know how to access what this is or get clarity around it. And this is how you do it, right? By first setting the intention to be open to it and saying to your guides, your universe, God, whoever, your higher self, like, hey, I have a feeling that there are some changes that need to want to be made in accordance with my highest and best good. I'm open, I'm listening, I'm looking. Please send me signs around this. And then pay attention. I swear I just saw the light change. It just got sunnier. Okay. 5 of Swords, 5 of Swords, oh, Capricorn. Just buy me a drink sometime. 4 of Keys, clearing the way. I mean, can you even handle the realness? Clearing the way. This really does say it all. This is about an obstruction of one's path, right? Aren't we talking about letting things end and doing things differently and making room for shift and change? Removing this tree log. Now, what I'm also really obsessed with, remember when I said the antebellum, and then we were talking about like, you know, Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind and then going into the spaceship and all that. Look at this Miss Scarlet gown realness, right? With the horse and the carriage, trying to go to the home. I feel like there's a special message in here for you, especially with the 5 of Swords here as well. Returning to the way that things were, and this could even be on a larger scale, you guys. There could be a group of you that are like, you know, I wish that things would go back to normal. And I know you know what I'm talking about with that. Okay. The global experience we've all been experiencing as of last year. I wish that things could return to normal. When are we going to get back there? How do we get back there? When is everything going to be like it was? Well, it's never going to be like it was. It's never going to be like it was. And it's a good thing too, because the way that things were pretty imbalanced and taking us down a pretty dark road in terms of, you know, the environment and just on a lot of different scales. This was a collective time of slow down to wake the hell up, in my opinion. So I'm hearing to reframe your thoughts around that and go, well, when you say I wish things would return to how they were or return to, quote, normal, maybe observe yourself with relationship to that concept. What does normal mean to you? Normal doesn't mean the best. Normal just means familiar. That feels very pertinent. All that normal means is familiar. It doesn't mean comfortable. It doesn't mean in your best interest. It doesn't mean your highest potential. Normal only means familiar. Familiar does not feel like the way. And in fact, trying to go back to something that's familiar with this old-time clothing here in this horse and carriage is resulting in little more than a repetitive pattern that is not in your highest and best good. And this 5 of Swords lifestyle, which is, you know, not necessarily something that's going to feel good or serve you in any real way. Okay? Let's get an oracle. Which one? I'm feeling one of these gals. Feeling one of these gals. You know, there's a lot of nature in these cards as well. And nature is always a beautiful remedy, right? To allow yourself to, you know, receive guidance and inspiration in the quiet. I also feel like there's a group of you that's going to know exactly what this is. It's like, oh, I know what needs to end, or I know what's breached today. I just, you know, I don't want to do it for X, Y, Z, or whatever have you, right? Okay. Oracle. Yeah. I feel like this one's for you too. Okay. All right. Oh, hey, Snow Queen. What's really interesting about this is if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, being the Capricorn that you are, you're all winter babies. So I like that it's coming for us as a Snow Queen. You know, Snow Queen is all about cycles, interestingly enough, right? We can also, I'm taking this literally as being frozen in place or clinging to something that, you know, is literally freezing over. Break through that ice and move forward. This feels very similar to the vulture energy here. Frozen, static, stasis. The sun's trying to come through and melt it, right? Move or be moved. Let end what needs to be end. Do not fear change. Remember that normal is only familiar, not necessarily good. Okay. Okay. I'm really drawn to these snowflakes here. You know how they say that every snowflake, there's no one snowflake that's like another one? I feel like this is speaking to your unique self as well, and you're being called to consider your unique expression in whatever way, shape, or form that is, especially if you're an artist or you create things in any way, shape, or form, or you're in the public eye, or there's something where, you know, who you are as an individual it comes into play in some way, shape, or form. Consider what mold you might be conforming to or whose team you're on, and is your individual expression seeing the light of day? Okay, they're showing me a scene from, what movie is that? I feel like it's Sex and the City. I don't know which one. It's either Sex and the City 1 or Sex and the City 2. I feel like it's the first film. Doesn't matter if you haven't seen it. I'm about to take you there. The character of Miranda Hobbs works for a high-powered law firm, and she just works and works and works trying to get a partner, but it's not a happy situation for her. Her boss is not very nice to her. She's working with people that aren't, you know, aren't really heart-centric. It's not a good fit, but she's working her butt off to try to make it within that context because that's what she's committed to, that's what she knows, and that's the path, right? Then she finds that, you know, wow, there's a better way. She ends up believing that, right? Because other things happen in her life that give her perspective. And she ends up finding a smaller firm that actually does good work and is more aligned with not only who she is, but who she wants to be and who she wants to represent and be a part of. And you're being asked too to consider your representation. I just heard, consider your representation, both who is representing you and how you represent yourself. Something about that. Also, stag energy here as well is very much about feminine and masculine energy meeting up together. So there is this also energy of timing and moving from a place of intuition as well. Okay. What time of year is it? Spring? Yeah, and then you're getting this icy feeling here in the Ten of Swords. Yeah, let the sun come in, let the Ice Queen from Narnia die, and let's move into the springtime where the river is, you know, melting away the ice and we can all take a dive in the, you know, clean, warm waters. That's what this feels like. Okay? You also have the magical key, which I'm really obsessed with this because this shows that, you know, the answer, the clarity, the comfort, the magic, the everything, right? The healing is right here. This key right here with this dove right here. And this can show an emphasis too on focus being on the wrong thing. And what do I mean by wrong thing? I mean, your focus could be better utilized elsewhere. So also be mindful of where your focus is at any given time. Also the point of even like obsessive or overdoing something as well. This can also be a call to, you know, balance, right? Mind, body, spirit balance, right? Or AKA harmony, right? Beautiful. Yes. All right, my beautiful Capricorns, this is your April general reading. I so hope that this helped and resonated. If so, would you do me a huge favor and let me know in the comments below? Because I really love reading your comments, and I want to hear what's going on with y'all. What's good? What's the news? What's happening? How are you guys doing? Coming off of last year and entering into this new, season of spring. How are y'all doing? Let me know in the comments below. And with that being said, just thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, and most of all, thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.